What was that? The Spirit, as voted for by you on the Facebook page. Released in December of 2008 and directed by Frank Miller, it runs for 1 hour and 48 minutes. I saw this a long time ago, but I really wasn't prepared to see it again. Starring Gabriel Macht, Sam Jackson, Scarlett Johansson, also starring Sarah Paulson, Stana Katic, Jamie King, and Dan Lauria. It had a production budget of $60 million, with a domestic take of $19 million, a foreign take of $19 million, giving us a worldwide of $39 million. I'm afraid that this movie ran at a loss of $20 million. I can understand why it ran at a loss, as many comic book fans or moviegoers probably weren't prepared for what this delivered, but at the same time, its lunacy is so good. Starting with the characters, and man, what a lineup. We'll kick off with the obvious one, the Spirit. Okay, he's your midnight vigilante, he's your Dick Tracy meets Batman sort of character. He's tough, he's smart, he's streetwise, but he's also kind of dumb. No, dumb is not the right term. He's a very damaged Boy Scout. Yeah. He's an undead Steve Rogers? Kinda? Okay, like he's dead. Or at least he died. In fact, he dies several times. He meets all the checkboxes for undead, but he definitely isn't. So I'm very confused about what he actually is. And in the movie, he doesn't know what he is. He's a mix of several different origin stories, all playing in together. He's got a self-awareness about him of when it gets strange, when things get weird. He identifies that. He knows it's getting strange. He also breaks the fourth wall. He will talk directly to you quite a few times in the movie. And when he does it, it's always very conversational and flows well, makes sense, doesn't stand out, doesn't jump out at you. You just suddenly realize he's addressing you personally. He's quite a strong character, and he really has to be, because he's up against Samuel L. Jackson at his absolute hammiest. It's a spectacle. Speaking of Samuel L. Jackson, he is the Octopus. Why is he called the Octopus? I do not know. I think it's because he's got tentacles throughout the city. They make a reference to that once, but that's about it. And this is Maximum Ham Sam. Samuel L. Jackson talking to himself, talking to everyone else, muttering about eggs, dressing up as a Nazi, dressing up as a samurai, dressing up as a mad scientist. Because from what I can tell, he's a mad scientist Nazi. Samurai. Lunatic. Sam just eats up every scene. He's chewing through this like a mulcher. He's a monster in this one. An absolute delight to watch on screen. And plays off incredibly well with his right-hand woman, Silken Floss, played by Scarlett Johansson. Now this is such a departure from anything I've ever seen her in before. It took me a while to believe that it really was her. I mean, her voice is there, yes. Drops in and out of her characteristic tone and inflections. You're pretty sure that she's a smart one, by the way. About halfway through the movie, you start to see her reacting to some of the things the octopus says. And you're going, I don't think Silken Floss is just a henchwoman. I think she might be the one pulling the strings. And you never really confirmed. You suspect, especially at the end, you're really going, I think she's actually the mastermind here. The sort of support character that if she wasn't there, the villain would fall over. Literally an actual support character. They're the villain duo that you don't want to leave. You just want to get back to see what on earth they're up to now. When it's both of them dressed up as Nazis, I just didn't know what to do anymore. Okay, we'll go into the goons. The clones. They're all played by the same guy, Louis Lombardi. They're like caricatures of henchmen in other movies. These are the henchiest of henchmen to ever hench. And their names. Pathos, Ethos, Odios and Amigo. The fact that they frustrate the octopus and Silken Floss so much is also good value. Good comedic value there. Dark humor. Very casual murder happening here. Regularly. I can't imagine this movie without him. Technically, Lewis gets the most screen time in this movie since he plays 30 to 50 different people. Then you've got what I call the sub-villains. They're not actually villains, but they're definitely not good guys in the movie. Sans Serif. Yes, like the font. Played by Eva Mendes. Sans Serif is a former love interest come back to town. She's also a thief, looks like either a murderer herself or someone who is quite happy to coerce other people into suicide. She is not a good person. I enjoyed having Sans Serif on screen. She was fun. She was interesting sort of character to a degree. She was, I think, meant to be the female lead, but really didn't feel like that. That actually felt like Silk and Floss was the female lead. Serif definitely needed to be in the movie. I just don't think she came across as a lead role in it. That's all. Then you got this character, Plaster of Paris. Oh yes. Her name's Plaster of Paris. She's used in one major scene and then a short follow-up sequence where she stabs Spirit through the heart. Bizarre character, entertaining character, brief character. A whole movie with her probably kind of annoying. Now quickly over to good guys. You've got Commissioner Dolan, who is very well played. He's the Spirit's confidant, his handler, his contact, the guy who vouches for him, the guy who he works with. He's also trying to stop the Spirit from going over the edge. He also doesn't really like the Spirit for the way he's doing things and the way he's attached to his daughter Ellen. Ellen being the doctor that keeps putting the Spirit back together. She is the repairman for the immortal Spirit. Slash love interest, slash former fiance or wife. I never really found that out. For whatever reason, because comic books, she doesn't recognize him. Or if she does, she plays really well at being dumb about it. Then, out of nowhere, Morgenstern turns up. And Morgenstern is unusual. Tough girl, tough cop, smart. Smarter than she sounds, smarter than she looks, smarter than she acts. And of course, Stana Katic played Beckett in Castle. One of my favourite shows until it went really, really strange around about season 7. And then finally you have Jamie King playing Lorelei. Lorelei being death herself. Everything about her would seem really strange, except this movie is already really strange, so it doesn't matter at all. Why does it work so well? I don't know. Yeah, characters. It's a wild time. They're overdone, overbaked, overacted, and it goes over very, very well. So I'm going to go ahead and give the characters a 3.5. Because this is just kind of something else to watch. Okay, story. I don't know where to begin. I mean, what is this? What is this? This is a story of an immortal man's journey to discover how he came to be, what his real purpose in life is, and how to stop an equally immortal madman. Kinda? It's an old school comic book crime story with your superhero who has no real superpowers other than taking a beating and then coming back from the dead all the time, up against a supervillain whose main ability is to come back from the dead all the time and be a bit of a genius and a megalomaniac lunatic. Bad guy wants to take over the city and spread out his tentacles to every corner of the world and become a god by drinking the blood of Heracles. Yeah, that Heracles. Now, how true that claim is, you're never really sure, because Silk and Floss, who I think is actually the brains of the operation, never looks 100% sold on the concept. It makes comic book sense, but that's about it. And off we go. We have a crime fighter doing crime fighting things. Dies about 4 times doing it too. A couple of the really good things, the flashback sequences have great purpose. They're not just flashback sequences for the sake of showing a happy childhood or some sort of trauma. These actually add significantly to the story. The story goes from crime drama investigation to truly bizarre scene to truly bizarre scene to even weirder scene. It's kind of crazy, and you just go with it because you just do. You're more held hostage than you are anything else in this movie. There's a big swamp fight at the start of the movie that feels like the end battle of any other movie. And it showcases the fact that the Spirit and the octopus can just wail on each other all day and nothing really happens. I mean, sure, they can kill each other, but that's not the end of the fight. Another one is the scene where you've got the octopus and Floss dressed up like samurais, complete with these big fake sideburns where you can see the glue. And the octopus is playing with them and then keeps checking to make sure they're in place. The guy's cosplaying. The character is in costume. Not costume as in this is what the character's wearing for the movie, but costume in as much as the octopus has gone, I feel like looking like a samurai today. And that's what he's got out of the wardrobe. Hanging out in the evil scientist lab was another sequence that just did my head in some ways. Tiny little mutant foot people. What was going on there? I mean, it's more exposition, it's more giving you what the story is, but you're so caught up in the absolute nuttiness of the scene that you don't realize you're being spoon-fed the plot. And let's not forget the Nazi speech scene, where you've got the octopus now deciding to dress up like an SS soldier, march around and talk about death, get interrupted by a phone call, have a chat about that, and then continue on. It's just madness. Scarlett Johansson rolls in, dressed like Silk and Floss, dressed like a Nazi soldier. It doesn't make a lick of sense, and it's brilliant fun. During all this, we finally got the spirit's origin, which is just as engrossing, interesting, and comic book strange as everything else is happening. After this, of course, the spirit escapes. It's very lame, it's a little weak, and you're thinking that's probably pretty pathetic, but that's okay, don't worry. He gets stabbed through the heart by his rescuer right at the end there, who walks off singing and dancing about the fact that she's plaster of Paris. Eventually this movie staggers on to its overblown and truly insane finale, with so much happening. It's such an overwhelming response from the local police. It's got a showdown of all showdowns, and none of it makes a lick of sense. The octopus gets bits blown off, then he gets killed twice, still managing to survive in a very small manner. And then it wraps up with everyone kind of having a happy ending. This movie fully embraced its bizarreness. The story just went with it. It was not concerned about, oh, maybe this doesn't make sense. Who cares? None of it's making sense. Go, go, go. This story is so close to being a parody of itself, which is already halfway to being a parody of everything else. It is on the cusp of becoming a musical. If this movie had suddenly broken out into a song and dance number, I wouldn't have been disappointed. I would have been quite happy. I would have gone, of course, well that's cool too. Because all expectations of reality got jettisoned within the first 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to have to give this a 3. Look and feel. Looks like a stylized comic book. Feels like a migraine-inducing sugar rush. This is hyper-stylized with black and white effects, chroma key color effects, exceptional lighting, incredible gradient work. It's either got a sepia wash or a fade-out wash on all the skin tones and the other colors in the movie. This feels like your old detective movies. You're waiting for them to pick up an old school handset or go over to a phone booth, drop a couple of quarters in and make a call to the commissioner. But then you've got cell phones and internet access and modern weaponry and modern tech and modern terminology. You keep being surprised. Oh, she's texting. Oh, of course they are. They did that before. But then it'll happen again and you're like, oh, there's a computer here. And of course there's a computer. You just saw one before. But you keep forgetting because the art and style and the look of this movie keeps erasing that content. It keeps surprising you. You're getting ambushed every 15 minutes in this movie. And it's good. The use of the black and red for certain emotional scenes and the black and white as contrast. And his red tie flapping against the background of pure black or straight white or whatever shade of grey or brown they've got going. It's incredible. Now the obvious comparisons for this are Sin City and the 300 movie. Very similar styles, very similar way of presenting blood and action and everything else like that. But personally, I think this movie's done it best. And the music is on point. The music is perfect for this movie. It's fantastic. I'm going to see if I can find and buy the actual musical score for this. I could listen to this all day. The stunt work, the running across the rooftops, the jumping off buildings, sliding down pipes and gutters and things like rolling over cars. Everything looks very, very wire work. Once you realize they mean to do it, they're meaning to make it look like that. Think after the second flip, where he's too slow in the air and too many flips for it to be anything other than intentionally bad, then you're in, you don't care anymore. Best example of this is when he does backflips up a fire escape on the side of a building. But because of the way they've shot this movie and the style, the lighting and the style, the rendering, everything, any CGI work that's in the movie, it doesn't matter. It's there. You notice it's CGI, but you don't care because everything else is CGI as well. I know that this movie isn't that good. I know it. But when you look at it, it was just so much fun to watch. Against all better judgment, this gets a 4. Script and dialogue. Right. Uh, it's beautifully bad. How's that? It's expertly crafted to be maximum campy. It's a cross between a modern comic book movie and a minimum budget noir detective flick. You just gotta hear it to believe you're seeing it. It's worth saying that the young kids, the flashback kids in this movie, they deliver perfectly as well. They really make the most out of their time in this movie. The villains are so conversationally evil. Let me try to explain that. The octopus and Floss are so very, hey, let's kick back, have a couple of beers, talk about a funny story, and murder people. It's coffee shop conversation for very bad people. The octopus and the spirit chucking back and forwards are just snappy and witty, but old school corny, and that's good value. The octopus and Floss arguing about the logistics of their evil empire, also very good, in a different bizarre sort of way. I've never had so much fun with exposition in any movie. Never have I had characters hand feeding me this plot and the story and where we're going, and me being so thoroughly entertained by it. I mean, the Nazi octopus death speech scene, followed by Plaster of Paris busting in there, and all of which wraps up and around the spirit's origin story and an exposition on his weaknesses, just mind-boggling that they did that. They reference quite a few DC comics in here, a bit of Batman stuff. They get the cheap shot in about Robin's short shorts. Then, and when you got the spirit hanging off the side of a building by his cape, not only do you have the crowd downstairs chanting jump, 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 but you got one guy going, ha, you'll believe a man can't fly. Superman reference, if you don't know that, I'm sorry. Oh, and it's full of some cringy, stereotypical moments. I mean, really, really bad stuff. The fact that he sweet-talked in French, Plaster Paris around from killing him to helping him escape, I'm just thinking that is the most James Bondian rubbish that you've ever seen. And then she stabs him and kills him. Sets you up for the stereotypes, sets you up for the cringe, stabs your expectations and walks away singing in the night. There we go, that's my synopsis for the movie, right there. Much like the story and much like the look and feel, the script and dialogue knows exactly what it's doing, everything's intentional, it's embraced the campy, it's gone full weird, and it's loving every moment of it. I'm going to very happily give the script and dialogue a 3. Fun factor, yes! I had a great time with this. It's silly. Doesn't expect you to take the movie seriously, because it certainly doesn't. I think the key thing here is, as bizarre and as strange as it got, it kept within its own set of rules. It did have a structure, and it stayed to the structure. It's a mad time, but in a little box. I think that's it. I think that's why it's so much fun. It's the kind of weirdness I want to watch again, and I'm gonna watch again. Fun factor. Yeah, 3.5. Scratch that. 3.75. I had me a fun time with this. So we add all them up, and we get ourselves a total of 17.25. It's a good time. I really enjoyed it. I really recommend it. But please be aware that this movie is nuts. This is not gonna make a lot of sense if you don't understand that to begin with. Have you seen this movie? What did you think of this madness? I'd love to know. I really would, because I'm wondering if I'm the only one that enjoys this sort of crazy time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, share it around. Let me know your thoughts down below. And as usual, have a good week. Go watch a movie for me.